62701-500 landfill operation requirements Operational personnel. All landfills should have at least one trained operator landfill during all time the landfill to receive the waste according with the subsection 62701-320 with the 15 below. Landfills should have at least one trained spotter each workplace at the time the landfills receive the waste is defective unauthorized waste. On operational plan, each landfill owner operator shall have an operational plan that provides the written detailed instruction for the detailed operation of the land. The operational plan shall keep it all near the landfill facility and shall be accessible to landfill operators. The operational plan shall be substantially completed at all the times. Revised operational procedures changed in the plan shall be included the procedures designation of the person responsible for the operation and maintenance of the facility. Emergency prepared with the response of the required subsection 62701-320-16. Control the type of the waste with received on at the site with the plan to specify the inspection procedures, normal location of the spotters, each of the working phase. Procedures will follow with unauthorized waste discovered waiting and the income of the wasting is required under subparagraph 62701-504A. The vehicle traffic control, unloading method, sequence filling, waste compaction, application cover the operation, gas, lachey, storm, water control, quality monitoring, maintaining the clean lachey collection system. Operating records shall consist of all the records reported. The analytical results demonstrated with the notification required for the chapter instruction operation closure permits, including all the modification for those permits included the departments along with the engineering drawings, supporting information, training records required in subsection 6701-320-15. The record is considered with the operational plan shall keep with the plans at near the landfill facility, alternating location designated with the operating permit, the readable as-built landfill operated for the operation record shall be available with the inspection at reasonable time. The detailed department personnel. Waste record. The only operative of the landfill shall weigh all the solid waste that receive a landfill operation record in tons per day. The amount of solid waste received and shall estimate the amount of the waste in the listed with the paragraph B of the subsection by the county of the origin waste part. Report shall be compiled with the monthly and copies shall be provided with the department annually and by February 1st of each of the year of the type of the waste with received class 1, class 3, ash residue, other waste. The additional reports of the type of the owner operated with landfill knowing the aspect of dedicated load, construction, demolition, debris, and further disposal shall submit annual report required for the subsection 62701, 73012 of the Florida Administration for the February 1 of each of the year. The control access to prevent the unauthorized waste disposal. Access to use of the facility shall be controlled by the fencing gates and other barriers as well as signs of facility personnel. Public assets receipt of the waste and shall occur when only the attendant is on duty. Monitoring waste. The owner operator shall implement the load checking program to detect and discourage attempt to dispose of the unauthorized waste of the landfill. The loading check of the program shall consist of the following minimum requirements. Load landfill operator should examine the list of the 3 random loads solid waste delivered to the landfill each week. The waste of the collection vehicle delivered is selected with each inspector shall be directed with the discharge of their loads designated location. With the landfill, the detailed inspection of the discharge material shall be made with unauthorized waste. If the landowner operated with the also operates with the transfer station, and the inspection may be carried out with the transfer station with delivery of the waste of the landfill. 2. If unauthorized waste is found with the facility, shall contact the generator, hauler, and other party responsible for the shipping of the waste to the landfill to determine the identity of the waste of the source handling hazardous waste. If regulated handlers of waste is identified with the random loading check that otherwise discovered with the improperly prepared deposit at the landfill operator shall promptly notify the department and person responsible for the shipping of the waste to the landfill, the generator of the waste. If known they are the waste of the where the waste are deposited shall immediately be cordoned off. For the public access, and the generator where the hauler cannot be identified, the landfill operator shall assure the cleaning up of the transportation and disposal of the waste of the permitted hazardous waste management facility. Subsequent shipments for the source of found with the suspected or previously responsible for the shipping of the regulated hazardous waste subject to the precaution measure prior to the solid waste management facility accepting waste. Recorded inspection result of information of observation research of each of the random inspections shall be recorded with the written they attained with the landfill for the last 3 years of the recorded information shall include minimum the date and the inspection name of the hauling of the driver of the vehicle license plate number, the source of the waste, the save of the driver, observation made with the inspector during the detailed inspection. The written record shall be signed with the inspector. Temporary storage. The owner and operator shall make an arrangement, shall have the equipment of the temporary storage, handling the transportation authorized disposal, recycling facility unauthorized waste within inadvertently accepted with the facility unless an alternating schedule is included with an operating plan submitted with the permanent application provided for the control of the odors and vectors. Producible waste shall not be stored with no longer than 48 hours. Non-producible waste shall not be stored for longer than 30 days. Waste handling requirements. All solid waste for the Class 1 landfills shall be spread with layers approximately 2 feet feet in thickness, compacted with approximately 1 thickness in a thin layer of the practicable before the next layer is applied with solid waste at least class 3 sites. Shall be spread in layers, compacted once every week, using suitable heavy equipment. Bulkable materials which are not easily compacted should be worked into other materials as practical. The first layer of the waste placed above the liner and latch collection system shall be minimum of 4 feet with compacted with the thickness consistent of the selected waste containing no large rigid objects that maintain the liner and latch collection system. Solid waste should be formed in 2 cells. Construction horizontal lift the working face of the cell. Side grades above the land surface shall be sloped no greater than 3 horizontal feet with 1 vertical rise. Life depth shall not exceed 10 feet unless unauthorized operation plan. Life depth greater than 10 feet may be allowed depending on specified operations. Daily volume of the waste of the width of the working face of the good safety practice. The work face shall only be wide enough to accommodate with the vehicle's discharge wasting to minimize the exposed area. Unnecessary use of the covered material. Additional coverage shall be applied with the maintained landfills in order to minimize the adversely environmental safety and health effects, such as those resulting from bird, unauthorized waste, blowing, litter, odors, vectors, or fires. To extent the following materials might meet the required here for subsection 262.701.253. Operators of landfills may use the initial cover of the auto shredded residual alone mixed with soil class 1 landfills. Covered screen material at class 1 and class 3 landfills. Street sweeping at class 1 landfills. No significant amount of class 1 waste is present with the street sweeping, and they can also be used in class 3 landfills. 4. Solid waste combustors, ash residue, class 1 landfills, the minimum frequency for applying the cover of the class 1 landfills for each of the working day. However, for those areas with solid waste deposited on the working face within 18 hours, initial cover may consist of the temporary cover such as the tarpaulin, which may be removed prior to the deposition of additional waste. For the class 3 landfills for each of the work week, the immediate cover, in addition with 6-inch initial cover, shall be applied with the maintained with 7 days of the cell completion. In addition, with solid waste will not be deposited within 100 days. Days of cell completion landfill. The operator may remove all part of the intermediate cover for the over before placing an additional waste and installing final cover to extend the following materials meet the criteria subsection 62701-205. 55. The Floor Administration Codes operative landfills may use the intermediate cover to recover the screen material. A mixture of soil, ground, chipyard trash from the provided with the soil makes up at least 50% of the volume of the mixture. Solid waste of the disposal units which have been filled with the design dimensions shall receive the final cover within 180 days after attending the final evaluation in accordance with the closure plan of the landfill. Uncontrolled, unauthorized scavenging shall not be permitted with the landfill site. Control salvaging for the recycling may be permitted with the landfill operator. A litter policing operation shall be employed to keep the litter from leaving the work area of the landfill. Litter outside the working area should be picked up within 24 hours. Some litter may be exposed through the initial cover of the traffic areas or other way public view. Alright, K. Erosion control measures shall be employed to correct any of the erosion exposure waste that will cause the malfunction of the storm water management system. Such measures are implemented within 3 days of the occurrence. If the erosion cannot be corrected within 7 days of the occurrence of the landfill, the operator shall notify the department and propose the correction schedule. 8. Lâché management. The landfill operator is responsible for the lâché level monitoring. The landfill operator is responsible for operating the lâché collection removal system, maintaining the system designed with the design period. Lâché being collected with the treating necessary so the water quality standards and criteria are not violated. The lâché is classified as a hazardous waste and should be managed in accordance with the Chapter 62730 of the Floor Administration Code. Lâché treatment and disposal facilities that may be used and shall be identified with the operating plan. The department shall be notified of which the facility is actually being used. Lâché may be discharged on an off-site treatment plan with the landfill operators responsible for having written contracting on an arrangement on the off-site treatment plan for the discharge lâché to the plant. On-site lâché treatment pre-treatment systems are a part of the lâché collection removal system and shall be designed according to the expected characteristics of the lâché. The design may include the adjustment of the system as necessary to accommodate the changing lâché characteristics. Either landfill operators shall have prepared contingency plan to handle the lâché collection removal treatment problems. There's such interpretation of the discharge treatment plan qualities. Quantities of the lâché collection for the lâché collection removal system shall be recorded in gallons per day before the on-site treatment and transport off-site shall be included with the operating record. A record rating gauge shall be installed, operated, maintained, and record perception at the landfill. Perception records should be included. The operating record shall maintain and are used permittee to compare with the lâché generated rates. New lashate collection system shall be water pressure cleaned and inspected with the video recorded after construction prior to the initial placement of the waste. Existing lashate collection system shall be water pressure cleaned and inspected with the video recording at least once every 5 years. Result of the collection system cleaning and inspection shall be available to the department upon request. 9. Gas monitoring. All landfills have received degradable waste shall implement gas management systems to meet the requirements of Rule 62.701.530. Field Administration, according to stormwater system management, stormwater management systems shall be operated and maintained as necessary to meet the requirements of subsection 62.701.409. Equipment in operation featured for landfill shall have the sufficient equipment to ensure the proper operation of the landfill excavation, spreading with the compacting and cover the waste, sufficient reserve equipment arrangements to obtain the additional equipment within 24 hours of the equipment to break down the communication equipment of the emergency routine and communications, dust control methods, fire protection, firefighting capabilities adequate to control the accidental burning of the solid waste in the landfill, fire protection including the procedure with the notification location, fire protection agency for assistance in emergency. Litter control devices, portable fins, and other suitable devices, signals indicating the name of the operating authority, traffic flow, the hours of operation, restriction with the conditions, disposal. Roads, landfills shall have all weather access roads with a passable and safe under the normal operation conditions, all inside parameter roads and on the other site. Roads maintained to allow the access monitoring devices, stormwater control for landfill inspection and firefighting. Record keeping additional records reported with required in other sections of the chapter of the landfill. The landfill owner and operator shall keep the record of the information to develop the support measurement application submittal information submitted with the supply the chapters pertaining to the construction landfill through the design period recorded pertaining operation except for the weight of the tickets for the landfill shall be kept for the design period for the landfill. Weight tickets shall be kept for 5 years, retaining records of all monitoring information for including calibration maintenance records, all original chart recordings from the continuous monitoring instruments, and compliance with all the reports required made by permit for at least 10 years. Background water quality records should be kept for a design period for the lifeline period of the landfill. C. Maintain an annual estimate with the remaining life of the capacity in cubic yards for the existing construction landfill and an annual estimate with the life of capacity in cubic yards for the other permitted areas not construction. Estimates shall be made with the reported annually to the department records which are more than 5 years old, which are required to be retained, may be archived, provided with the landfill operator can retrieve the further inspection within 7 days. The rule-making authority is 403-061, 403-704, Florida State Law 403-702, 403-704, 403-707. Florida State History News, January 6, 1993, amended January 2, 1994, May 19, 1994, 17-701, 500, amended May 27, 2001, January 6, 2012, August 12, 2012, February 15, 2015. Alright, I don't know how long these are. 60701-510 water quality monitoring requirements applicable to the section applied for the application, construction, operation, closure, including long-term with the solid waste disposal unit and the landfill. However, the subsection 3 which does not apply with the solid waste disposal unit with the operation prior to January 6, 1993 for the groundwater monitoring system installed with the maintained as required with the approved with the groundwater monitoring plan. The rules intended to supplement the groundwater monitoring requirements Chapter 62520 Fuller Administration Code as provided in Chapter 62520 Fuller Administration Code. They are not directed under the provision of the rule remaining applicable. This rule does not relieve the person for the compliance with the permit condition, but the department order does not limit the department authority to modify the permit over the groundwater monitoring in accordance with the Chapter 62520 Florida Administration Codes. The requirement of the rule minimum standard for the monitoring water quality. Nothing of the rule shall be constructed to prevent the department from imposing the stringent standards necessary to protect the environment from the public health and safety due to the specific conditions, type of the waste for the disposed landfill, solid waste disposal, water quality monitoring system. Monitoring plan system for the permit application shall provide the Department of Water Quality monitoring plan for the landfill to describe the proposed groundwater surface water monitoring system. Plan shall be based on the hydrogeological investigation required in Rule 62701-410 for the administration codes. Be prepared and under the supervision of professional geologist, professional engineer with experience with hydrogeologic investigation. Plan shall be signed with the seal of the professional geologist and the professional engineer. The water quality monitoring shall be installed with consistent with sufficient number of the groundwater wells installed with the appropriate location and depth of the wheel of the groundwater sample to the uppermost aquifer, as well as other aquifers expected with the effective landfill surface water monitoring points and installed with location to yield the sample to surface water that may be affected with the landfill. All sampling analysis the activities shall be performed in accordance with Chapter 62, 160 Florida Administration Codes. The water quality monitoring plan shall comply with the provisions subsection 62.520.603, but the application shall specify the sample application frequency, and the water quality monitoring shall be provided with the justification for these location frequency based upon site conditions. Groundwater monitoring 2 or more detection links should be located within the zone of discharge for the hydraulic down gradient from the solid waste disposal unit to detect lachate releases. These wells should be located with no more than 50 feet of the edge of the solid waste disposal unless the site-specific conditions make such placement impracticable. These wells should be capable of monitoring each solid waste disposal unit is operated. Multiple down gradient compliance will be shown located within immediately adjacent to the compliance lines of the zone of discharge is required in subsection of the 6 for this. Site specifications conditions required installation compliance wells within the zone discharge with conform exceedance for the groundwater standard above the background at such wells will be considered as a violation of the standard. Sufficient number of the background well is installed as a part of the site of the hydraulic investigation required in Rule 62.701 410 Florida Administration Code shall be maintained through the design and line of life of the landfill to provide information from the background water quality monitoring wells. Location of each of the wells in degrees, minutes, and seconds of the 2 decimal points of latitude and longitude. The evaluation of the top of the well casing with the nearest to the tenth of a hundredth of a foot. Using a consistent, naturally recognized datum shall be determined with the Florida licensed professional survey and map of the location information required for the subcategories 62.701, 320, 7F7 shall be included. Upon completion, each of the well forms 62.701.903 to monitoring well completion report effective the date in January 6, 2010 here adopted and incorporated with the reference shall be submitted to the department to report the details of the well construction location. Copies of the form is available for the local district office of writing the department of the Environmental Protection Solid Waste Section MS 4565 2600 Blair Stone Road, Tallahassee, Florida 323924. An identification number shall be assigned by the department to each of the monitoring in accordance with the Department of Water Assurance compliance with the system computer file. The identification number shall be used on all the water quality monitors reporting. Well spacing shall be spaced no greater than 500 feet apart across the down gradient direction from the groundwater flow and no greater than 1,500 feet apart of the cross up the gradient direction of the groundwater in the uppermost aquifer of the zone of discharge unless the site is specified with the condition for the support the alternate well spacing conditions considered including the groundwater flow, the direction of rates, estimated longitude, transversal dispersity rates, proximity to the presence of the sensitive environmental groundwater, use and nature of the waste and method of disposal proposed designate inside of the size of the facility. Well screens shall be located with a readily detected representative of the groundwater condition with the saturated thickness of the uppermost aquifer with the zone discharge. Well screens should not act as the conduity with the conforming lines between the water and being strata. The angular space with the space between the borehole of the well casing above the same the depth that shall be sealed to prevent the contamination of the sample of the groundwater unless otherwise approved by the Department of Pursuant to subsection 6701.510.2. Florida Administration Codes well monitoring zone compliant with the water table shall be screened with the water table can be sampled at all times. The application shall provide technical justification. Actual screen length chosen monitoring wells should be constructed with provided with the groundwater samples exhibit physical chemical properties of the portion of aquifer screened with the well. Unless otherwise authorized, the department of the permit with new monitoring wells, exerting monitoring wells at the time of the permitting renewal shall have the protective bollards and all other devices installed in them. If they are located in areas of high traffic flow to prevent damage from the passing vehicles, monitoring wells should be locked in to minimize potential unauthorized access. Entering monitoring wells should be advantage which with the cover to do the later expansion of landfill with the construction of new solid waste at the disposal unit for the plugged as necessary so they do not act as conduity for any lachate release for the groundwater. The department should be notified of the writings before any monitoring wells are abandoned and plugged. Detection sensor capability detecting changes in the groundwater. They may be indicated lachate readings, but the data recorder may be used. Augmented documentation will be used to alter Native detection well demonstrated with the effectiveness of the department. All surface water monitoring. All surface water bodies that may be affected with the contamination relief at the facility shall be monitored, except if the body's water contaminated completely within the property boundaries of the disposal site, which do not discharge from the site of the surface of the water, and the bodies of the standing one or more of the representative of the monitoring points shall be located as close as practicable to the facility. For flowing through the water bodies, a sufficient number of the upper gradient with the down gradient location shall be used and allowed with the effect of the landfill measured. Discharge of the detention ponds of the storm well shall be sampled at the point of the discharge of the water for the state from the property whichever is close in the detention pond. The details concerning the sample location and analysis requirements shall be specified in the water quality monitoring plans. Each of the monitoring locations shall be marked in position and shall be determined with the Florida licensed professional survey mapper in degrees, minutes, and seconds of the latitude, longitude. 5. Initial routine sample frequency requirements, except for otherwise specified the department permit order. The subsection of the section frequency of the sample analysis shall be complied with the following. However, the owner or the operator of the solid waste disposal unit may request the permit modification appropriate to the district office of the department to delete specific monitoring parameters of the field parameters for the routine analysis of the detection compliance with wells and surface wells. The department will grant such modification upon demonstrating that the parameters are not reasonably expected to be and derived from the waste contained by the unit that are not responsibly expected to be detected with the groundwater as a result of the operation of the facility. Demonstration of the delete parameters. Demonstration of the delete monitoring parameters may include the evaluation of the concentration of the contrast between the contamination likely to leach from the waste in the disposal unit and the background water quality, the type of the quantities, and the concentration consistent with the waste of the degradation product managed by the facility. Initial background water quality. Initial background water quality for the proposed landfill should be determined and analyzed. At least one of the water sample taken for each of the well was installed. Each of the surface water monitoring location that was established during the site of the hydrogeological investigation. New monitoring will be well that is installed after completion of the site hydrogeological investigation, unless a new monitoring well is installed to replace the existing well with the monitoring network, shall also be analyzed with the initial background water quality. The water quality information should be submitted to the department as part of the supporting information for permit application. Supply sampling analysis. Initial background groundwater shall be parameters listed in paragraph 7A and 7C of this section. Sampling analysis. Initial background surface water quality should be for the parameters listed in paragraph 7B and 7 of this section. Routine monitoring wells sampled. All the detection wells and representative sample. The background wells shall be sampled and analyzed with at least semi-annual with the groundwater parameters listed in paragraph 7A with the section in accordance with the water quality monitoring plan with the owner and operator with the solid waste disposal unit may request a permit condition modification from appropriate district office of the department to use the alternating monitoring frequency. The department will approve such of the condition modification to demonstrate for the alternating frequency of the appropriate based upon the specific lithology of the aquifer, unsaturated zone, hydraulic conductivity of the aquifer, unsaturated with the groundwater flow rates, minimum distance, travel fate of the transport parameters detected. Routine surface water sample. The surface water shall be sampled and analyzed semi-annually for the parameters listed in paragraph 7B of this section, in accordance with the water quality monitoring plan. 6. Evaluation, monitoring, preventing measure with the corrective action, evaluating monitoring and prevention measures. Monitoring parameters are detected detection wells and concentrations significantly above the background water quality. They are level of the department water quality standards and the criteria specified in 62.520 for the permit review sample. The wells and within 30 days the sample data is received and conform the data should be permitted with the truth and not resample. The department will consider the water quality analysis to represent with the current groundwater condition for the facility. If the data is confirmed, if the permit chooses not to respond, the permittee shall notify the department in writing within 14 days of the finding. The permittee, up upon the notification of the department writing within 14 days of the finding of the above sample, the resampling event may also choose to demonstrate the source other than a solid waste disposal unit expected to be caused to preserve the detection water quality analysis. Report documentation demonstrated must be signed and sealed with the Florida registered professional geologist, professional engineer. Submitted to the department within 60 days of the demonstrated notification. Successful demonstration is made and approved. The department owner and operator may continue the detection monitoring specified in this section. If the department determines successful demonstration has not been made within 60 days after the permit submits the demonstration reports. Permittee chose not to pursue the demonstration that upon the notification of the department it shall permit the initiating evaluation monitoring files. 1. Routine monitoring. All monitoring wells and surface water Monitoring location shall continue in accordance with the requirements subsection 5 of this section, and provided with the paragraph of the subsection 90 days of the notification of the department initiate the evaluation, monitoring, and annual theater with the permit sample to analyze the representative sample of the background well and effective detection wells and parameters listed in paragraph 7C. For this section, the new parameters detected with confirmed and effective of the downgrade well shall be added with the routine groundwater monitoring parameter list required for the subsection 5 of the section's affected wells. Within 90 days of the notification, the department initiated the evaluation monitoring permit shall install with the sample compliance monitoring wells compliant with the line of the zone of the discharge downgrading with effective detection monitoring wells. The wells should be installed in accordance with the requirements of paragraph 3D of the section, except as provided in paragraph B of the subsection sample. For these wells effective with the detection wells shall be analyzed quarterly with the parameter listed with the 7A with the section. Other parameters detected with the effective detection downgrading at wells sample with the paragraph 6A2 annually the parameter listed in paragraph 7C within any contaminants and detected confirmed with the compliance well and concentration at both background level of department water quality standard criteria for the provisions paragraph 6C. The section apply, otherwise following subparagraphs apply. Notification: the department initiating evaluation monitoring permit shall submit a contamination evaluation plan appropriate to the department district office. The plan shall be designated to delineate the extent of the cause of the contamination in order to predict the likelihood of the Department of Water qualities will be violated outside of the zone of the discharge, evaluate the methods to prevent any of the such violation. After the department and the permit to agreement with the plan is designated, the permit shall implement this plan and submit a contamination evaluation report in accordance with the plan. All reasonable efforts shall be made with the permittee to prevent further degradation of the water quality to landfill activity. So, if the content evaluation report indicates the water quality standards criteria are likely to be violated outside of the zone of the discharge, permit T shall within 90 days with the submit the preventive measures plan with the department. Upon approval of the permit, shall initiate the preventive measures to prevent such violations. The owner and operator of the solid waste disposal unit may request authorization for appropriate district office department alternating monitoring frequency of the repeated sample deferring the evaluation monitoring the department of the greater grant such authorizing upon demonstrating the alternating frequency is appropriated based upon the site specific lithologically aquifer unsaturated zone hydraulic conductivity aquifer unsaturated zone groundwater flow rates and the minimum distance traveled the fate of the transfer of the parameters detected. 7. The owner and the operator solid waste disposal unit may request authorization from appropriate district office of the department to detail the specific monitoring parameters, field parameters, other evaluation, analysis, the detection detection compliance wells, and the department well granted such authorization demonstrated that these parameters are not reasonably expected to be in the derived with the waste of the contained with the unit. The permittee shall not discontinue evaluation monitoring report and return to the routine monitoring only until authorized to do so. The department shall make the determination based on the result of the contamination evaluation report and the other relevant water quality. If the parameters detected with the detection wells identified in paragraph A with the subsection consists only of the iron and aluminum, magnesium sulfate, total dissolved solids, and either individually and in combination, only other detected parameters required of the monitoring of the representative background wells affected with the detection wells, downgraded compliance wells required from the section rather than the parameters listed in paragraph 7A and 7C. However, if the facility is in line with the requirements of the specified in paragraph 7A, shall be analyzed by the initial sampling event affecting detection wells, downgrading compliance wells. Corrective actions. If any contamination is detected, confirmed compliance wells and concentration effective with the background level, department water quality standard with the criteria permit shall notify the department within 14 days of the findings shall be either pursued with demonstration for the exceedance not related to the solid waste disposal unit with the accordance with the requirements of paragraph 62701, 5106A, but shall initiate the corrective action if the permit is unable to demonstrate the exceedance is not related with the solid waste disposal. Permit must initiate the corrective action unless alternate correction actions specifically required in the permit consists of order and effective of April 17, 2005. Corrective action shall comply within the applicable provisions of Chapter 62780 of the Florida Administration Code. The provision intended to clarify the applicable elements of Chapter 62780. Therefore, the appropriate corrective actions in such a case that no create new requirement for the corrective action in order to incorporate Chapter 62780 Florida Administration Code into Chapter 62701. Evaluation monitoring shall continue in accordance with the requirements of paragraph 6A of the section. For the purpose of this chapter's Rule 62-780 of the Florida Administration Code is intended only to apply on violation of ground surface water capability with the Water quality standard criteria outside the facility permanent zone, but the discharge not here within the intent of the limit of the person's liability, site rehabilitation resulting in unauthorized peak leaks, discharge of pollutants, hazardous substances, the provision after 62-780. Florida Administration Guards regarding assessment, remediation, contamination of the soils do not apply. The provision in Rule Chapter 62-780 regarding resource of the removal D- discharge emergency response action, but the term source removal do not apply. To the extent of any of the requirements, Chapter 62-780 regarding the notice for the quality assurance, the professional certification, frequency, sample avail, and emergency response long-term care may conflict with the similar requirements of Chapter 62-701 and the facility permanent condition requirements 62-701 for the administration code. The facility procurement shows govern. For purposes of this rule, the following definition, Chapter 62-780 Florida Administration Code have the following meaning: cleanup at the target level means the primary, secondary groundwater standard groundwater minimum criteria, surface water, the standard surface water toxicity, human health criteria, which are specified in Chapter 62-777. Florida Administration Code contaminated site means that the surface water with the groundwater outside the facility zone, the discharge that contains contamination may be harmful to human health or environment. 7 water quality parameters. The following list of the water quality parameters shall be used for each for the type of the sampling done. Groundwater monitoring parameters, field parameters, static water levels, wells purging, specific conductivity, pH, dissolved oxygen, turbidite, temperatures, color, and skin by observation, laboratory parameters, total ammonia chlorides, iron, mercury, nitrate, sodium, totally dissolved fluid, solids. Those parameters listed in Title 40 CFR Part 258, Appendix 1. B. Surface water monitoring parameters, field parameters, specific conductivity, and the pH, dissolved oxygen, turbidite, temperatures, color, sheen, observation, laboratory parameters, unitized ammonia, total hardness, biochemical oxygen demand, iron, mercury, nitrate, total dissolved solids, total organic carbon, fecal coliform, total phosphorus, chlorophyll A, total nitrogen, chemical oxygen demand, total suspended solids. Those parameters listed in Title 40, Part 258, Appendix 1. Host parameter listed in Title 40 CFR Part 258 Appendix 2, as well as the field parameters specified in Paragraph A with the subsection Water Quality Monitoring. Reporting the landfill owner-operators should report all the representative water quality monitoring results for the department within 60 days of the completion of laboratory analysis. As other different date with the due date with the specified permanent in accordance with the subsection 62-162-43 and 62-163-44. The quality data should be provided with the department in electronic format consistent with the requirements of importing the department database, unless all alternate with the submittal of the specified with the permit shall include the Form 62-701-931 Water Quality Monitoring Certification effective the day of January 6, 2010, hereby adopted and incorporated by reference. With each report certifying the laboratory results have been reviewed and approved that the permit complies with the form available for the local district office writing with the Department of Environmental Protection, Solid Waste Section 4565-2600 Blairstone Road, Tallahassee, Florida 32-399-2400. Operator of the landfill should notify the department at least 14 days of the sampling is scheduled to occur, but the department may collect with the split. The report shall include the least of the following: 1. The facility name and identification number, sample collection dates, and analysis dates. All analytical results, including all peaks, even with the below minute maximum contamination levels, identification number to designate with all surface water, groundwater monitoring points, applicable water quality standards, quality assurance, quality notations, method of detection limits. Store code number for all the parameters. Water levels required with the prior evaluation of wells and sampling collection and evaluation references should include the top of the well and casing of the land surface at each of the wells. So, the precision plus or minus of hundreds of using consistent nationally recognized datum. An updated groundwater table contain map signed and sealed with a professional geologist, professional engineer with the experience with the hydrogeological investigation, with contours no greater than 1 foot intervals unless site-specific conditions dictate other indicated groundwater's evaluation and flow direction. 10. A summary of any of the water quality standards of the criteria that exceed. A technical report signed and sealed with a professional geologist, professional engineer with experience in hydrogeological investigation submitted with the department every 2 to 1.5 year during the active life of the facility. Every 5 years during the long-term care period, the report shall summarize and interpret the water quality, water level measurements collected during the past 2 and 1.5 years, 5 years of the facility, and long-term. The report shall contain a minimum of the following: the tabular display any data which shows the monitoring of the parameter that is detected, geographical display of any of the Lachey key of the indicator of the parameters such as pH, specific conditions, conductance, CTD, TOC, sulfate, chloride, sodium, and iron, including hydrographs for all other monitoring wells. Trend analysis of any monitoring report parameters consistent with detector comparison among the shallow, mild, deep zone well. Multiple zone or monitors comparison may be between background water quality, and detection compliance well. Correlation between its related parameters such as the total dissolved soil, specific inductancy. 6. The discussion erratic with no other poorly correlated data. 7. An interpretation of the groundwater contour map, including the evaluation of the groundwater flow rates, and an evaluation adequacy of the water quality monitoring frequency sample location based on the site condition. Instead of submitting the technical report 627015108B with every 2.5 years, the permittee may elect to submit the records information annually. Second, semi-annual report with each of the year provided with the annual technician. Technical report includes at least 2.5 years about the water quality data. All field laboratory records should be specified in 6216600 through 630 should be made available to the department and may retain with the design period with landfill. Rulemaking Authority 403061, 403704, Florida State Law 403702, 403704, 403707, Florida State History, January 6, 1993, January 2, 1994, May 1994, 19th, 99, formerly 17701 amended, May 27th, 2001, January 6th, 2010, August 12th, 2012, and February 15th, 2015. We'll do this tomorrow.